Hello and welcome everyone. It is me, Tina, your social media maven for eJuices.com, and welcome back to eJuices.com Live. Today we have Nick here from Propaganda eLiquid, and based on popular requests, we're doing another Ask the Juice Maker segment. So if any of you guys have questions regarding the e-juice making process, or pretty much any questions for an industry expert who owns an e-juice company, you're going to want to ask Nick because he's a pro. So Nick, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you for giving us the items for our giveaway, which you guys were hosting a giveaway, and at the end of this show, we are going to announce the winner. The winner is going to receive the entire line of Nick Salt, brand new from Propaganda, as well as a hat and t-shirt. So lots of swag, lots of juice, lots of Nick Salts, you guys. Going to be amazing. And Nick, thank you so much for joining us. How are you? And please tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about how Propaganda got started.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Well, let's see. A couple things about myself. I'm 22. I started Propaganda when I was 18. Yeah, we're coming up on 4 years this month, actually. So that's pretty exciting. Propaganda, let's see. We started Propaganda with 4 flavors. Like I said, 4 years ago when the industry was significantly different, and through these 4 years, we've managed to keep up with the trends and continue to try to bring you guys great products.
That's amazing. And what was the inspiration behind, so there's like a lot of different flavors and stuff that I've noticed with Propaganda. They seem to be kind of like dessert, or they're kind of like combined flavors. Was that kind of like where you guys were going with that when you originally started the brand, or did you start with more traditional flavors and then kind of branched out from there?
Yeah, so when we first started, there was, I would say, a lack of like hybrid flavors like that. If you wanted, like I said, this was 4 years ago, so most of the flavors are like vanilla custard and apple pie or apple tart or whatever the case, and like there wasn't really like a combination of flavors, and so that was kind of the idea that we had, was that because we would get over vaping of vanilla all day long, so we tried to create hybrid flavors that you could vape all day long, and not have to worry about like having 3 different bottles of juice with 3 different mods with you so that you didn't get sick of one flavor.
That's awesome. And I noticed you guys kind of, I really like how you guys use kind of like Propaganda, and you have like terms like Illuminati and stuff like that. Like, where did the inspiration for that come from?
A lot of it came from, there was some government pushback back then, but I wouldn't say it was big enough to really like hit the government radar yet. But we thought it would be cool to kind of do like a spin on government propaganda. It's a cool theme, and something we're all into. So we thought it would be cool to kind of do that in this type of I guess you could say like rebellious industry.
Yeah, and it is. It's like, it's super witty, and the industry is rebellious. I think I like that you guys really capitalized on that. So I would love to hear, just taking it off topic from the motivation and the brand itself, I would love to hear about you. So you started this company at 18 years old. So How did you start your vape journey? Like, how did this whole thing begin for you?
Well, one of my buddies came home with a vape one day, and we were messing around with it. It became kind of like a hobby for me, building atomizers, finding different mods, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And from there, I got a job at a vape shop, and kind of through that, like I said, there was a lack of flavors back then, and so through that I experienced working behind the counter and seeing that, and so me and a buddy figured, why not, we'll try to make our own juice. And through that we kind of came up with some flavors that we enjoyed vaping all day, and thus Propaganda was born.
That's pretty awesome. But I mean, wow. So owning an e-juice company in such a booming industry right now at 22 years old, that's amazing. I myself, I'm in my like mid 20s now, but I can't even imagine a few years ago like owning a company. What has that experience been like for you, from going from working to a vape shop to owning an e-liquid manufacturing company? I mean, is it, and in 4 years too, it's such a short time.
Yeah, it's been probably the best experience of my life. Through the vape industry, it allows me and some of my best friends to travel around the world, going to these conventions and meeting consumers and meeting other business owners. And aside from that aspect, it's really created a place for me and a lot of my friends to grow and become. I became a business owner. My friends became sales reps. My friends became logistics managers and learned these trades through this space that vaping has created. So I'd say it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me.
That's amazing, dude. So were you ever like a smoker or anything, or were you just kind of there when vaping began to boom and you wanted to further kind of explore that field? And I know that you mentioned that you were friends with a few people, a few other e-liquid manufacturers as well.
Yeah, no, I was a smoker. Unfortunately, I started smoking, and this is going to sound a little weird. I started smoking when I was 12. My dad smoked probably a pack to a pack and a half a day.
Wow.
And through that, I would steal his cigarettes. And then as I got older, I would shoulder tap for cigarettes and this and that. And eventually it became a pack a day habit that I was smoking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not unusual though. I hear a lot that happens, that kids start on that pretty young at like 12 or 13. Like I've heard that it's pretty more common than you would think it is. So
Yeah, at this point, I'd be more shocked if someone told me they started smoking at 20.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Especially now. I mean, like, back even like 10 years ago, it was a little bit more acceptable versus now, you
Yeah.
know? Um, so I'd actually love to hop off. I'd love to get back to that, but so a lot of people who come to ask the juice maker and stuff, and guys in the chat, if you have any questions for Nick, this is a great time to ask. Like I said, we have a pro here, someone who very, very successfully started a business at a young age and is, a pro in this industry. So if you have any questions regarding the e-liquid manufacturing process at all, be sure to ask in the chat. But Nick, there's, safety and sterile conditions of facilities seems to be a pretty hot topic. So can you let us know a little bit about your facility and your manufacturing process?
Yeah. All of our e-liquid is manufactured in an ISO 8 grade clean room. And so basically what that means is it's as safe as the food that you eat. So any food grade quality is going to be the same quality standards that we use to make our e-liquid. And I mean, it is a hot topic right now because it's becoming a big industry, and it can't be people hand filling bottles anymore, and it can't be people mixing with Home Depot supplies or whatever the case may be.
Definitely. That's awesome. And so can you explain for people in the chat who may not be aware of what ISO is?
Yeah. ISO is a sanitary standard. So basically, we go to a third-party company to get certified, and basically they come through and break down our entire manufacturing process and say, hey, you're cleaning this well enough, you're not cleaning this well enough, they basically dissect our entire manufacturing process. And once we adhere to their standards, they slap a label on our lab and say, you're ISO certified, you're good to go. So.
Awesome. We have a question actually in the live chat for you from Sinatra Vapes. So he says that he's dropping his juice line in March at a vape convention, and do you have any advice for him as an industry expert?
Any advice dropping juice in March? Just try to be yourself, man. Don't try to be, it's easy to look at a convention and see like, oh, these people are doing that, these people's branding is this way, or these flavors are doing super well. Just try to be yourself, because that's all people are going to want from you. If you try to replicate something else already out there, that's, you're just going to coattail off someone else. But that's what's given us the most success. Is we always just try to be ourselves, and just constantly reinvest. Try to allow yourself only enough to survive, and hopefully it pays off.
And that's awesome, Sinatra Vapes, that you are dropping your own line. And, congratulations and good luck on that. Definitely a bargaining market for sure. So if you're going to drop it, now's a good time to do it. So for those of you who are watching, and I know a lot of you guys just entered the chat right now, we are actually running a giveaway. So I went ahead and linked the little widget that you guys can use to enter into that giveaway underneath this video. And Nick has been so kind to provide us with the swag, if you will, for this giveaway. So you guys, the one winner that we're going to select roughly around 7:40, 7:45-ish towards the end of this show will receive the entire Nick Salt line from Propaganda, which is pretty new. And then you're also going to be receiving a hat and a shirt from Propaganda. And I know how much you guys love that brand. So be sure to stick around. If you haven't entered the giveaway, please do so. And also for you guys, if you're viewing right now, I know we had a few new people pop in. Be sure to ask Nick from Propaganda e-Liquid any questions that you guys have. I know a ton of you guys actually really like this flavor. So if you guys have any questions, or if you're watching this video after the fact, and feel free to comment underneath this, and we'll get back to you with those answers as quickly as we can. So Nick, I ask, you're saying that you kind of did this little witty thing to show that you guys are rebels. That's your whole spiel with Propaganda and stuff, and I love it. I love it personally. Would you say that that's who your brand is targeted to, the rebels, if you will, or do you have a specific target for your brand, or is it more flavor profiling?
I wouldn't say it's targeted towards rebels. I would say it's our take on the e-liquid industry. And if you like what we're doing and you like the flavors that we're putting out, I think it's a pretty easy brand to associate yourself with.
Definitely. So you would say you're just kind of like, if you like eJuice and you're a fan and you kind of want like an all-day vape that you're not going to give vapors tongue from, that's probably your target market. Something that's different, but something that also could be used every day.
Yeah, like our whole motto is, how are we going to stand out on the shelves? And that's what we've tried to do for the past 4 years, is stand out to the end consumer through a good flavor, through good branding, and a good overall company.
I think that's great. And speaking of standing out, what would you say are your most popular flavors in your line?
I would say our most popular flavors are Blue Slushy from the Hype Collection and Rocket Pop from the Hype Collection.
Wow, so the Hype Collection is coming up quick.
Yeah, the Hype Collection has been a huge success for us.
So we should believe the hype then.
Yeah.
When did you guys come out with that, and what was your inspiration for that specific collection?
We came out with that, oh wow, it's probably been about a year now. We started with 3 flavors: Blue Slushy, Strawberry Shortcake, and Cotton Candy. And the inspiration behind the Hype Collection is, I don't know if you witnessed the kind of change in flavors over the past 2 years, but everyone has kind of changed to this more like cartoony style, like nostalgia experience. And this is kind of like the Hype Collection. Like, this is what's hyped right now, So we released our renditions of what we thought were the hype flavors, and it's been doing really, really well for us.
So you guys were right on the money. Because, you were predicting what was popular, and then you guys kind of came out with it. So do you find that you guys do that a lot, that you kind of look at what's out there and you predict what you think is going to be popular and follow accordingly, or like tailor your flavors to that? Or is that the first collection that you've really done that with?
I think we just start to see, what's popular amongst ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we're all hobbyists. We're all trying to find what we like and something new and something different. And so if something gains popularity amongst us, then we kind of like run it through our trial and error of how we think that might play out in the timeline of vaping.
Very cool. So you guys have the regular propaganda, the hype, and then you have a few other lines, right?
Yeah, we have Vape Pink, which comes in
Oh,
these
yeah,
nice,
I love
pretty
those.
pink bottles. And then we actually have the Cloudmouth collection as well, that we just released. That's doing super well as well.
When did you release that one?
We've had that for, I'd say, the past 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
And it took off, I'm guessing, because in 4 or 5 months, if you can say that it's doing well, then obviously it's doing very well, right?
Yeah, we try to give people an overall customer satisfaction with our clients and our shop owners. And so usually when we drop something new, it's like a friend type of basis, and it's asking a friend to carry a new product.
Okay, cool. Very cool. And speaking of friends, you mentioned that you have a couple of other friends that are e-liquid manufacturers. Which ones are those?
Uh, the entire Orange County hub, I would say, of e-liquid
Makes
is, we're all pretty much friends. We've all known each other before the vape industry. But I mean, Cosmic Fog, good friends of ours. Space Jam, good friends of ours. Charlie's Chalk Dust, good friends of ours.
Wow, it's like a lot of big ones.
We're all in the same little area, so we all run into each other all the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And all of our offices are probably a stone throw away.
That's so funny. So you guys are kind of in like all these different competitive companies, but then you're also friends and you have like the same hobby. That's funny. And
So
this,
that's what's cool about the vape space is everyone's expressing themselves differently, you know? So, I mean, sure, we're in the same space and we're competing, but they're doing it differently than we are, you know?
makes sense. Yeah, no, you guys have your own thing, they have their own thing.
Yeah.
Going back to kind of like the hype and like when you need questions and all that good stuff, what is your inspiration? Like, how do you decide that you need a new flavor? I mean, what is the process where you kind of look at things and you're like, yeah, I think like right now is the time to create a new flavor, and this is what it should be.
If I'm being 100% honest, when sales start to stabilize, when sales start to stabilize and we see that trend over maybe a month or two, then it starts to kind of raise the question, do we need something new? Are our consumers requesting something different?
And I think it's interesting, you're talking about sales rising and stuff. And, I myself don't really like when people point out that I'm young and stuff. But in your instance, it's very, very impressive. So were you I'd love to hear kind of about your experience going from working into a vape shop to becoming a business owner, and kind of what training or training you did or didn't have, and or if you had to self-train, kind of figuring out how to run that business, running the numbers, all that kind of stuff. I'd love to hear a little bit about that journey, because 22 and owning a company is extremely impressive. I think all of you guys out there in the chat, I think you can agree. So I would love to hear about that.
I mean, it's definitely, I have some employees that are older than me, and when we go out to trade shows, they often shake one of my employees' hands as the owner because they naturally assume because he's older. But I would say growing as a business owner, the biggest thing I could say that's helped me is just not being afraid to ask for help. No one expects you to know all the answers, regardless of your age or regardless of your background. And so I would say utilizing every resource that I had was probably the biggest benefactor in Propaganda's success, because I'm not an accountant. I don't know how to run numbers. I'm not a marketing genius. I don't know how to target specific audiences and stuff like that. But, other people might, and taking classes or reaching out to friends or reaching out to family members is probably the best thing that I did.
That's great. I think so. So you kind of was it you, or did you have like partners, or was it like you mainly cultivating and growing this yourself with those relationships?
No. So we've always had a core group of like three of us. It's been me. I had a partner, and then we had a shipping guy that's been with us from the beginning, and through the three of our resources, we've managed to kind of, with plenty of error along the way, we've been able to kind of pull our resources together.
That's awesome. So I'm not gonna ask this, but in the chat they want to know if you still get carded, and don't feel bad because I do too, and
Of course I do.
I know, right? I feel like I'm still gonna get carded until I'm like 30, but
I have all these tattoos and they still card me.
right. So I would actually, for the sake of our viewers and stuff, I would actually love to hear kind of the overall juice making process. How does it start? When is it concluded? On average, how long does the entire process take?
Oh man, I would say it varies a lot. We've expanded to the point where we have an R&D department now.
Okay.
And so typically what happens is I will bring like a list of flavors for the month that they're supposed to work on. And they'll bring me renditions of those flavors. And I would say most flavors between like 10 to 20 revisions gets approved. Some flavors may be a little more, but then from that point, it goes on to a queue. And then from there, we have a marketing meeting and discuss which flavor in the queue that's ready to go would be most applicable to the time frame that we're in.
And do you factor in the popularity of certain flavors, or what, like I know that like strawberry was huge last year, but like dessert flavors are like the big thing this year. So do you kind of also gauge it based on all that information?
Yeah, to a certain extent, we definitely don't want to go and create, a specific flavor because of the way the trend is going, because by the time we finish that flavor, the trend will probably be over. Gotcha. But if we can take our approach to that trend, then that's usually what gets us the most consistent group.
That makes sense. That makes sense that you don't want to just kind of go with a fad, and you're kind of going with what you think people are going to classically like, whether it's popular or not. I do like the pink though. The pink, I think it's a cookie butter is what it's called. I think that's the name of that one. I love that one. We actually have a question from Sinatra Vapes. Are you going to the vape convention at Foxwoods?
I am. We will be there. Yeah.
Very cool. So there you go, Sinatra Vapes. Nick will be there. And if that's the convention he's going to, then maybe you'll get to see him roll out his flavor. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So guys, I'm going to take this opportunity to show you guys, if you're not familiar with Propaganda, I'm going to go ahead and pull up their Instagram so you guys can see kind of some of the flavors that they have, because they have a lot of different flavors for a lot of different palettes. So here is their Instagram page. Oh, you guys. Oh, okay. Nice Super Bowl ad. Who were you rooting for? Patriots or Eagles?
I wanted the Eagles to win, but I definitely thought the Patriots would win. So that makes me very happy camper that the Eagles won.
They always win, though. That's what I'm saying. I had a friend who was like an honorary Eagles. She's obsessed with Eagles, but let's see if I can pull this. So while I'm pulling this up, because for some reason I have like 8,000 windows open and Instagram is eluding me right now. Here we go. All right, you guys. So here's just kind of like a little layout of Propaganda, if you guys don't know what their logo looks like. And if you're just joining in, I think it's interesting. Nick mentioned earlier in our conversation that the inspiration behind their branding and everything was kind of because it was like a little play off of, industry and government propaganda, and, how we've got everybody's coming down on the vape industry. So I think that that's awesome. And there's some of the hype flavors that he mentioned earlier. I personally need to try that Rocket Pop one because it looks amazing. So here's their Instagram, you guys, and their handle is Propaganda eLiquid if you guys want to go ahead and follow them. So I'm going to take that down, and I will also take this opportunity to remind you guys that we are currently running a giveaway right now. So if you guys just joined us or you're just coming in to the chat, I have here with me Nick from Propaganda, who is amazing for coming on the show, and he's even more amazing for providing us with some of the swag for our giveaway, you guys. Actually, all of the swag for our giveaway, you guys. So below this video, I provided a link to that giveaway. Be sure to enter that, because in the next hour and 20 minutes, hour and 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and select a winner, and that winner is going to receive all of the Nick salts in the propaganda line, as well as a hat and a t-shirt. So be sure to join that giveaway ASAP, you guys. So I would love to know, speaking of branding, what are you guys doing anything to encourage brand loyalty amongst your target audience?
Yeah, probably one of the most instrumental pieces of marketing we've done is this right here. I don't know if you can see that, but it says "Peel Me."
Yeah.
And so every time you buy a bottle, I don't know if you remember box tops as a kid.
Yeah, totally.
If you collected a certain amount of box tops, you got a certain prize. And so on the back of all of our products, we give away Peel to Wins. And when you collect 50, you get X prize. You collect 100, you get a bigger prize. And so on and so forth. And little things like that, like encouraging the consumer to continue to vape our product, has been extremely successful for us.
That's amazing. Did you guys come up with that yourself, the whole Peel Me thing?
Yeah.
That's a great marketing tool, I think. Like, that's really, really innovative. It's almost like a golden ticket kind of for vaping. I don't think I've seen anyone else do that. So how did you guys come up with that?
It's a pretty popular thing in like larger industries, like the food industry. We originally started it kind of like a one in every 16 won a prize. But then we noticed we weren't getting too many. I think a lot of people were just kind of throwing the boxes away. And so we weren't getting a lot of winners submitted. So we figured a box top style entry would be a little bit better.
Awesome. I love that you guys have these creative, not just your name, but you guys seem to be really creative in your approach of how you guys interact with like the general public, which is, I think, why you guys are such a popular brand. So that's awesome that you guys did that. I've never seen anything like that, so kudos to you guys for coming up with that.
Thank you.
Have your products received any like award or special recognitions or anything from any influential industry people or organizations?
We have received a few at various conventions that we've been to, but if I'm going to be 100% honest, I have failed to submit our e-liquid to those on countless occasions. We get caught up in the travel and the setup of our booth and stuff like that, and so I have fallen short in the aspect of submitting those.
Happens to the best of us, though. Guys in the chat, if you guys have any questions for Nick, if you guys have any questions about the overall e-juice making process or anything about the industry when it comes to e-liquid, e-juice manufacturers, feel free to ask. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about how you have friends in the industry, but are there any other specific e-liquid brands that you admire? Kind of their strategy and the way that they create their flavors and the way that they come at consumers?
Anybody that I admire? I admire everyone in the vape industry for creating their own rendition of e-liquid or a mod or whatever the case. But people that stand out to me are people that are trying to do their own thing. They're not trying to just ride the coattails of someone else's success. And that's why I'm friends with people like Cosmic Fog and Space Jam and Charlie Struck Us, because they're consistently trying to be different and do their own thing. And in my opinion, companies like that are the leaders of the industry.
So a lot of the people that you mentioned earlier, then you'd say that those in the what did you say, Orange County hub?
Yeah.
Very
and cool. I mean, people like that, they do a lot for the industry as well. I know Cosmic Fog and Kilo did the Hall of Vape. I think Ruthless was a part of that too, and they donated a bunch of money to advocacy and stuff like that. And those are the things that I really admire about companies.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I really like when a company kind of goes above and beyond too, especially in this industry. Um, because it is a lot of people kind of like it is so new and people do have to kind of push on their own. It's not like we have these large corporations helping us out. We are what is making this happen. So
Right.
definitely. We have a question in the chat for you from Eric. What level of Nick do you offer in those salts?
We offer 35 milligram and 50 milligrams. So we are geared more towards the pod style device.
Okay. So, can you explain for viewers who aren't familiar what the difference is between e-juice and a Nick salt, for instance?
Yeah, so obviously it's a different form of nicotine. And what the nic salt allows us to do is it allows us to create a higher concentrate nicotine for pod style vaping. It also, in my opinion, creates a lot cleaner of a vape. The flavor is a lot better. But primarily the reason we focus on it is to introduce that pod style product.
Okay. So, it was that you wanted, it was more of like a push for the pod than a push for the Nick salt, but it just happened to be like fortuitous that everyone's into Nick salts right now because right like that's a huge
Yeah.
thing right now. Everybody's getting back into squonks, and I think we chatted a little earlier about kind of this return to simplicity. Are you seeing that a lot, would you say, with other companies as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think the general population, the reason they like to smoke, for instance, is because they can just pull out a cigarette and light it on fire and they're good to go. They don't have to worry about carrying 10 different batteries or rebuilding their atomizer or whatever the case. And while there is still that hobbyist group of people that enjoys that, I would say the general smoker does not. And so I think that's why we're seeing a big return back to simple pod style device, plug and play, ready to go. There's devices out there that you fill the pod in the beginning of the day and you have a full battery and you're good until you get home. So
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, so would you say that you feel, because I feel like this is kind of going this way, but I feel like it started out with people who were the industry itself and kind of the way that it's progressing started out with people who were like very specifically into vaping, the early adopters, if you will. And then it moved into hobbyists, and now that it's moving to the general public, that is now following that return to simplicity is almost necessary because it is to a general public.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we're thinking about our primary purpose as a vaping industry, it's to help, reduce combustible cigarettes. If we're taking that approach, then we have to cater to the general smoker,
Yeah,
at least on some level.
definitely. We have a question in the chat from you from Hamish, who is asking if you try, and if you do, how often do you try your competitors' e-juice?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah. Every time I'm at a convention, my favorite thing to do is walk around and try other people's e-liquid, compliment them, take a look at what they're doing branding wise. So pretty frequently.
Okay, and would you say that by kind of testing or trying someone else's, it might have inspired you for one of your own products in just the sense that because you guys tend to do like key lime pie and like all these like crazy kind of combination flavors and stuff. Is any of that inspired by competitors, or is that just kind of like you said, matching up what you think people would like that they won't get sick of?
I mean, I think if I were to say that there was no inspiration from trying other flavors, I think I'd be a liar. But I don't think I tried a flavor and said, "Oh, I can do this better" or something like that.
Gotcha.
But I think just vaping in general, other e-liquid inspires certain flavors. Yeah.
That's awesome. We've had people on who have actually said kind of the opposite sentiment, which is like they've tried something and been like, "Oh, I can do this better." So I think that it's cool that you're just like, "Well, we're kind of doing our own things." So,
Yeah.
do you guys? You mentioned that you were kind of pushing like this pod. Do you guys have your own closed system, or?
We don't have our own closed system. I am actually just a firm believer in the pod system.
Okay.
I am super busy. I have kind of taken a step back from the hobby approach. And the pod style system has enabled me to continue vaping and not return back to combustible cigarettes. So I'm a firm believer in it.
So have you ever had, I mean, it always seems that I get different answers on this, but have you felt tempted at all to go back since you started vaping, or did it kind of just really,
Yeah,
okay?
of course. I mean, when I'm watching a movie and they're all smoking or this, or I'm out on a Saturday night and everyone's smoking around me, of course, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we see, because sometimes we have people who come on and they're like, oh, and I never look back. But then we have other people who are like, oh, I still crave it every time I see one. but
Yeah.
but the
I,
vaping helps.
yeah, I would say I'm like a happy medium. Most of the time I don't want one, but I definitely still crave them, yeah.
For sure. So about these pods now that you're a big advocate for, which brands are you making these pods for?
My personal, I mean, we don't make the actual pod. We just make the e-liquid that goes inside of it. But my personal favorite is the Soren. It's actually not a closed system, so you can put your own e-liquid into it. But I mean, this is probably my favorite device on the market right now.
Really? And it's just, is it the ease of it, or are there any other reasons why you enjoy it?
Yeah, a lot of the other devices out there get burnt super fast or they're inconsistent. The battery life isn't that great. This one, I would say 90% of the time I can just grab it and, like I said, just grab it and go. And I don't really have any issues. I've dropped probably 10 of them and they've all survived. So
Wow. So what flavor do you have right now?
I have blue slushy from with salt.
Okay, the hype then. Okay, and do you like, so are you a higher level or lower level Nick person on the salt?
I'm vaping 50 milligrams.
Okay, so all of it then. Yeah, you like the potent, the high level Nick.
Yeah.
I actually would love to ask you, kind of gear the conversation in a little bit different of a direction, and then I'd like to come back to the Nick salts, because I do think that this return to simplicity is very interesting. But do you feel that your company is prepared for upcoming imminent regulations? Because, we are in the vape space and everyone has to make everything super hard for us. So,
I would say as much as you can be. I mean, the FDA regulations have been pushed out 5 years, and I think the reason they pushed it out 5 years is because they're realizing a lot of the regulations that are in place might be too harsh, and they're still doing their own research. So I would say I mean, we have a guy whose entire job is to stay up to date with that.
yeah.
But like I said, we can only do so much with the information given. Um, but yes, we've registered our products. We're on track.
No, it makes sense. I mean, like you said, you can only do so much, but I think that advocacy in the way that people have been fighting for this has helped a lot, especially when we're looking at the FDA and we're seeing, okay, well, maybe these regulations are a little harsh. Maybe we're not really giving them the kind of chance that we should. But on that note of advocacy, I mean, what are your thoughts on advocacy? Do you consider yourself an advocate? Have you done any sort of advocacy work
Yeah,
in this vape realm?
we have been in Sacramento a ton over the past couple of years. We were a part of probably every advocacy group domestically that you can think of, and anytime we're asked, we love to do advocacy work. It's showing face for your industry.
So, what are your thoughts as far as kind of what's going on and how limited we are in our space? I mean, how do you think it's going to go in the future?
I personally think that we will see a big change in how people vape, but I do think the kind of like free vape world that we have will still exist. I don't know if it'll look like building your own coils and stuff like that, but I definitely think you will still be able to walk into a shop and purchase an e-liquid that you enjoy rather than a menthol or something like that.
No, definitely. And I feel like it's been popping up, vape shops just keep popping up like every other corner. I see a new one all the
Yeah.
time. So, I mean, obviously we're doing something right. So,
Yeah.
we have a question in the chat from Sinatra Vapes. Nick, how do you feel about these big companies like Cutwood selling their company to Big Tobacco?
I think a lot of people read into the rumorville too much. I have yet to see a company sell to Big Tobacco, and I know a lot of these people on a personal basis. Um, at the end of the day, if that's the way they want to take their company, that's their choice. I don't necessarily believe in it, and I would never sell to Big Tobacco. That's kind of a conflicting interest, in my opinion. But I can't judge someone else's business. They're just doing what they think is right.
But it's almost like shooting yourself in the foot if you do that. And I didn't even actually know that there was like rumors going around that vape companies were selling out to Big Tobacco.
Yeah, there's like rumors that pop up every year. Oh, so and so sold or this or that, and they're usually never true.
But is that a reality though, that Big Tobacco is trying to buy out vape companies, or is that even in itself kind of?
I think it was a few years ago. Big Tobacco has done a huge push for their own e-liquid and pod style devices and closed systems. So I think they're kind of past the point of like wanting to buy someone in our industry. I think they're trying to just push us out.
So that they can also be the leader of that industry.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, good luck to them doing that, because this was already established before they decided to stick their nose in. But I'm going to take another opportunity because we have a couple of new people in the chat. You guys, I am here today with Nick from Propaganda e-liquid. I know you guys love their flavors. We're running a giveaway, which Nick has so wonderfully given us the swag for. So if you guys are interested, I linked that giveaway below, and I also just linked it in the chat. But you have until we're probably going to announce the winner in about an hour. So be sure to join that giveaway. And the one winner, is going to receive all the Nick salts from Propaganda e-liquid, their new Nick salts, as well as a hat and a t-shirt from Propaganda. So be sure to stay tuned, you guys, because we do have that giveaway. And if you guys have any questions for Nick, be sure to let us know in the chat. He'll answer them for you. He's a pro. He is the owner of Propaganda, and it's just amazingly successful. He's 22 years old, like rock star over here, who owns this company. So if you guys have any questions for him, or if you're watching this after the fact, please comment under the video and let us know if you have any questions, and we'll get back to you with that. So I would actually love to kind of keep down this advocacy road. Have you done anything personally? Like, do you consider yourself an advocate in the way that you do, the actions that you take, or would you say that you just more support advocacy groups?
What do you mean by have I done anything personally?
Have you done any like videos where you've spoken about advocacy, or gone to any events where you've networked or talked about advocacy in that sort of space?
Yeah. So we were in Sacramento probably 4 times last year, and that was actually showing up to speak to the Senate and speak our piece from our industry. So that was really cool. I've done various interviews. I've also held a position on CSFO, which is California Smoke Free organization. My time is a little more limited, so we've tried to appoint people in our company to go and be a part of all those organizations. But I try to, as much as I can, be a part of any advocacy available. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I mean, in California is so anti-smoking. Do you think that that's why they seem to be kind of the hub that vaping exploded out of? Or do you think it's just because everybody's a little bit more laid back there and it's easier to get things rolling and spread the news, versus maybe like if you were back east, it'd be a little harder. There's more regulations, there's more taxes.
I'm not really too sure. If I had to really guess, I'd probably say that um, a lot of us in Orange County got in it at the right time. I would probably say that because even, I mean, they're anti-smoking, but they're also like anti-vaping.
Yeah.
Blow a cloud down the street and people are coughing, a mile away, trying to make it known that they don't like that, and stuff like that. So I would say a lot of it has to do with good timing and being in the right place at the right time. But it's kind of interesting. Like a lot of trends do stem from the West Coast, whereas like in other industries like fashion and stuff like that, it stems from the East Coast. So it's kind of interesting to see that.
No, definitely. I think that the West Coast has like a pioneering spirit, if you will, that's still kind of with us. And they're a little bit more traditional and rooted back east or at different parts of the country. But
Yeah.
definitely interesting when I hear all these companies coming out of SoCal. It's like, what is the magic going on down there in that hub?
Yeah.
But we actually have a question from Sharon in the chat. Do you foresee the industry regulating the manufacturing process so that the public knows you meet a certain standard?
I hope so. I really do because I think a lot of people misunderstand how much really goes into having a good manufacturing process. So
Okay.
I really would love to see that. I do think that will become a standard, and I do think it will be regulated. I mean, it's the same thing with restaurants. Like you have to pass certain standards to serve food to people. So I would love to see that in the very near future.
And that actually kind of brings me to another question that I had, which is as far as kind of like having all these standards like ISO and stuff like that, do you guys have to portray that you have all of this anywhere on your products that you're certified in this, or is it just your facility that needs to showcase that?
It's part of our marketing packet that we send to our clients. We don't showcase it on our product
Okay.
because personally, I think it's a standard that everyone should adhere to. I think if you have to put on your product that you're manufactured in a good manufacturing facility, I think that kind of should speak for itself.
Definitely. And speaking of the flavors themselves, another question I had a little while back when we were talking about competitors and all that stuff. So if you have like a similar flavor to a competitor's, how do you differentiate yourself and your brand from theirs, other than the actual branding and like labeling itself?
Yeah. It's hard because, say someone walks into a shop and they just say, I would like an apple flavor or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
There's going to be four different apple flavors. And so I think that is really where your branding does play a part, because they're going to hand you the four bottles, and whichever one you think looks the best, you're probably going to try and become like attached to that flavor. So I think that is where branding um, becomes a serious factor. I do also think every e-liquid manufacturer has their own kind of taste, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. It makes total sense that you guys have all different processes, and I'm sure that you guys have different steep times and, all of that stuff. So it's going to come out different.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, so what is your personal flavor that, like, from your collection?
I have not stopped vaping blue slushy since it
Really?
came out. Yeah, if I do stop, it's to vape Illuminati.
Love that one.
But blue slushy has been my tried and true since it came out.
That's great. Then, and you said, and when did that come out? I know you said that what did you, it was the Cloud, the most recent one that came out about 4 months ago. It was not the
Yeah,
Hype. That was the other one, right?
the Hype collection came out almost a year ago now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say the blue slushie is the most popular out of that collection? Because I know that you mentioned the popsicle flavor too.
Yeah, I would say blue slushy. We just launched Rocket Pop last month,
Oh,
but last month they were neck and neck. So
we have somebody in the chat saying blue slushy is bomb. So we've got some blue slushy fans in here.
thank you.
Didn't you guys start out? So propaganda kind of brings me back. Speaking of OG stuff, didn't you guys start out with like campfire flavors or something like that when you guys first came out?
We actually just brought one of those back called Wildfire.
Oh,
We brought
cool.
that back to the Salt collection. We started out, like I said, with Illuminati, Truth, Subliminal, or I'm sorry, Illuminati, Subliminal, and Wildfire were our first three flavors. And that's what we launched Propaganda with.
That's awesome. So was there, a shift from those flavors and kind of like, where did the shift come from the branding of like, the campfire e-liquid? Or I'm sorry, did you say that they all kind of came onto the scene at the same time?
Yeah, they all came on around the same time. The reason we discontinued Wildfire for a little bit was out of a sub-ohm tank, it's a little robust. Some people enjoy it. It is, in my opinion, a little strong out of a sub-ohm device. But out of the pod style system and with the salts, it's such a good vape that we brought it back.
That's awesome. So you guys, for all of the fans out there who maybe you guys like Wildfire and it wasn't available, we've got it in the salts. And if you join the giveaway that's in our link, you are going to be able to get that. So I guess since I'm talking about it, I'll just take this other opportunity because I've seen like one or two new people hop in the chat. So you guys, I'm here with Nick from Propaganda. If you've just joined us, thank you for joining us, Nick. He is wonderful enough to come on the show and explain the overall juice making process to us, and he has also given us some swag for a giveaway. So if you guys are interested in joining that or participating in that giveaway, I've linked it below this video, and I'll also be periodically linking it in the chat. Be sure to join that giveaway because at like roughly 7:40ish we'll be selecting a winner. And in this giveaway, you guys are going to get the entire Nick Salt line from Propaganda, as well as a hat and a t-shirt. So lots of swag, you guys. And if you guys have any questions for Nick, he is a pro in the industry, you guys. He knows all about the e-liquid manufacturing process, all about it, the ins and outs. He's worked everywhere from a vape shop to now owning this company. So if you guys have any questions for him whatsoever, now is definitely the time to ask them. So, Nick, you mentioned a little earlier that you were like, not a lot of people really know all the effort that goes into creating a flavor, for instance. Are there any other aspects of the e-juice manufacturing process that you feel are misunderstood? And if so, can you clarify that for us?
As far as like manufacturing or creating a flavor?
Both. Both.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, creating a flavor in itself is very difficult. There's thousands of different flavors to go through until you. I mean, the amount of different blueberries. If you want to put a blueberry in the vape, you'd have to try at least a couple dozen before you even nail down the blueberry that you want to put in your flavor. So that's a complicated disaster in itself. But as far as manufacturing, I think a lot of people just kind of think like, oh, you buy these ingredients, you stir them up, and you got a vape, and it's not really the case, like thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars are invested into certifications and machinery. And I mean, when you get into like mass producing the e-liquid, our bottling machine alone was $100,000. And so that's to keep up with demand for you guys, because if you guys walk into a store and you want to buy blue slushy and it's not there, guess what? You're going to buy something else. And, so a lot of people, I think, misunderstand that, and they think, oh, wow, this bottle of juice is, $20 or whatever the case. I'm going to buy this bottle that's $9. And really keep in mind, like, the quality that you're getting for the $9. And keep in mind that the type of product you're buying.
Yeah, I feel like people settle a lot, and I feel like there's definitely going to be a push towards the top shelf premium flavors, because eventually I feel like maybe the smaller ones, not that they'll fall off, but it's just that people are going to veer towards the higher quality flavors, I think, especially in that situation. So when you're talking about doing all these different blueberry flavors and stuff like that, is it you? Is it like a flavorist? Is it like a bunch of you guys testing them? And like, at what point do you guys have to stop testing them if you have to taste blueberry over and over again? I mean, do you guys get vapor's tongue or like?
It is a flavorist that does it. And I would say once he comes across a blueberry that he's satisfied with, usually we will stick with that blueberry for any flavor that we want to put blueberry in. Okay. Unless like, for some odd reason, the vendor can't supply our demand or something like that.
So it's kind of a situation where it's like that's like your brand of blueberry, if you will. Like that's Propaganda's blueberry, that they have they work to create this specific blueberry that's going to be reflected in every flavor that has blueberry in it.
Essentially, yeah.
That's awesome. I think that, like you said, that I think when it comes to every different company's style of the flavorist and what they pick and how long they steep and stuff, it's really interesting that you can have, a key lime pine flavor from you guys that's like completely different from another brand. So that's awesome that you guys kind of have your own branded versions of flavors. And speaking of flavors, we have a question in the chat. You guys have a cotton candy flavor, correct? I believe it's part of your hype collection.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, Beth. There it is. So if you want to go ahead and get that cotton candy flavor, we can go ahead and link you guys to the collection as well in the chat for Propaganda. So if you want to check that out, Beth. And another question from Sharon. Do you guys make new flavors based on focus groups? And I know we kind of talked about trends earlier. It's kind of on par with that, I'd say.
So I wouldn't say we hold a focus group. I wouldn't say we're at that level yet, but the process is once I approve a flavor, then it gets passed around to the executives at the company. If they approve it, then we'll make a small batch and we'll kind of walk around with that bottle for maybe a week or two and let people try it, see what their opinions are, stuff like that. But no, we don't hold a specific focus group for it. We kind of just walk around with it, see what people think, get their feedback, stuff like that. Because what's harsh to us might not be harsh to other people, or vice versa, or what maybe someone thinks the strawberry needs to come up or come down, or whatever the case.
No, definitely. I would agree with that for sure. We have a couple of new people in the chat, so I know I just said it like 5 minutes ago, but hello, Jason. Welcome all of the new people who I just saw pop into the chat. If you guys are interested, we are running a giveaway. Nick from Propaganda eLiquid is here with us, and he has given us some awesome swag for this giveaway. So if you guys are interested, I linked it below. The winner is going to receive all of the Propaganda Nick salts, a hat, and a shirt. And if you guys have any questions for Nick right now, he is a pro, an industry expert. Ask him. He'll answer your questions for you. He's been really, really great about answering them so far. So, Nick, other than, everything being hard, because everything has to be difficult in our industry, what do you think is the biggest challenge in the e-juice making industry?
I would say it is being different. There's been times where we're coming out with a flavor and the trend is going that way, and 30 other people come out with a flavor, and so being able to separate yourself from that is one of the most challenging aspects that we encounter on a daily basis. Luckily, the team that I have is really good at coming up with different ideas on how to stand out. But I would say standing out is the toughest issue.
That makes sense, definitely. But you guys, I think that's really where your branding comes in, because it's amazing. And I'm going to go ahead one more time, because I was like fangirling earlier, you guys, because my job is social media. But I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Instagram for you guys one more time to show you Propaganda, as well as kind of their branding and all the different flavors that they have. So here is their Instagram, you guys. And for those of you who were wondering, Nick let us know that he was rooting for the Eagles. So, for their Super Bowl.
Nothing against Tom Brady, but he's already got 5 rings.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, the Patriots, guys, come on. Like, when I heard them playing, I was like, I'm bored. And then when the Philly Eagles were on it, I was like, all right, now stuff's interesting.
Yeah.
So here's the Instagram, you guys. Here's a little bit of Propaganda's branding. So here's some of the things from the Hype collection over here, and then you can see some of their traditional branding over there. And then see the peel here thing on this photo. That's the back of one of them then, for learn more. Okay, what do the small words on this actually say?
The small words at the top right say peel here.
Okay. So here's their stuff, you guys. And oh, you guys even have like a branded snowboard. That's cool. Do you guys have other branded swag other than like shirts, hats, stuff like that?
We'll do one-offs occasionally of like skateboards, custom posters, stuff like that. That we'll randomly send to shops, but nothing that is like purchasable on our website.
Okay. Okay, definitely. That makes sense though. And here's, the meme that I relate to you guys because I love propaganda. So I did even like a conspiracy themed ones for our company using propaganda. So I love it. Like, don't mind me just like fangirling out over here. So I would love to know what we can expect from propaganda in the future. Anything you're willing to tell us. You don't have to tell us if it's a secret. It's totally fine if you guys are working on something. But I mean, do you guys have any new flavors or any new collaborations coming up that you'd be willing to share?
We're constantly coming up with new flavors and constantly coming up with new products, but something that we're super excited about that we haven't really ever done in the past is we are collaborating with a few different people. So, if propaganda is your favorite, if it's your second favorite or something like that, you can see it in the near future being attached to another large line as well. That's really all I can say about it, but I'm super excited about it because, like I said before, we have a lot of friends, and so being able to come to a place where we can use each other's branding and really connect with that is awesome.
That's awesome. Lots of collaborations then.
Yeah.
All right. No, I respect that. That's okay. We don't want you, spilling the beans on our show. That's cool. We got a question actually a couple of questions in the chat. So the first one is, with all the different tastes, this is from Sinatra Vapes again, asking a lot of really good questions today. With all of the different tastes that people have with juice being harsh or they're into blowing clouds, what VG, PG ratio do you think is universally best?
Universally best,
yeah.
I would probably say 60/40 is universally, because I suppose if you're into blowing clouds, you can just go with a lower nick level. But all of our lines are different PG-VG ratios for that reason. Like the Hype Collection is a max VG. The main line is a 60/40. So we really try to hit that broad spectrum of consumers, but I would say 60/40 is probably the most commonly used ratio.
Okay, cool. So Sinatra Vapes, 60/40. We have another question from Jameson. Is there any flavor that you regret not making, like one that you loved but nobody else shared your vision with?
No, there are flavors that I do regret making, but I am the owner at the end of the day, so sometimes I get carried away and I'll push a flavor through that doesn't necessarily make it through all the trials and tribulations. But those flavors are no longer with us.
So what is the one that you regret releasing, if it's no longer with you guys at least?
It was this flavor called Treason. It's a lemon pudding. I loved it. I really thought I thought other people were gonna love it. And it didn't turn out that way. And that's okay. I'm a huge believer in errors and failing and slipping up along the way, because not everything you do is going to be perfect, and you learn from that.
No, it definitely makes sense. And lemon, I feel like, is a really, really hard one to nail down. Like companies are always trying to nail down lemon. But Treason, that's hilarious that was the name of it. I still can't get over your guys' names. I love them. If you guys, I see a couple more people popped in the chat, so I'm saying it a little more frequently now, but I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to re-announce the giveaway that we're having, you guys. First of all, thank you guys all for joining us. For the new people who just popped in, hello, welcome. We are here today with Nick from Propaganda E-Liquid, who has been wonderful enough to come on our show and explain some of the juice making process, as well as provide us with swag for our giveaway. So if you're interested in joining that giveaway, I'm going to be selecting the winner in the next half hour at around 7:35. So be sure to enter that. And if you guys are having any issues, I know one or two people in the chat had mentioned that you guys were having issues with the giveaway. No worries. Just send us your name and email and we'll enter you in the giveaway. So, and the winner of that giveaway is going to receive all the Nick salts from Propaganda, which is pretty awesome. And they brought back some of their old flavors, or one of their old flavors, Wildfire, that a lot of you guys might be familiar with. So you're going to get all of their Nick salts and a t-shirt and a hat. So be sure to join that giveaway. I'll pop it in the chat. And yeah, so for all of you guys who are just popping in, be sure to get on that. So another question that I have when it comes to, I kind of want to hop back over to advocacy, because I think that that's something that a lot of people are very interested in. It's a huge hot topic. So as far as advocacy goes, and I love asking everybody that comes on the show this, whether they're a flavorist or an e-liquid manufacturer, what have you, what do you think is ultimately the best approach to it? Because there's a lot of people who advocate for it on their own, and then there's like these organizations that do it, and they're kind of pieced apart, those organizations. You know, you've got CASA, you've got all these other ones. Do you think that it would be more impactful if people came together into one kind of organization, or do you think that it's more impactful with people doing it when they can and how they decide to do it on their own?
I definitely think one organization would be more beneficial. It would have one target for everybody to put their dollars towards and put their efforts towards, and then they could have liaisons in every state, you know.
Yeah.
So I definitely think one organization is the way to go.
And I mean, and I know that that's like, it's like people want to kind of have their own voice and stuff, but a part of me almost agrees with that, because like you said, it's like we will have a voice if it's one uniform voice, and especially when you're tackling something as big tobacco. Which also brings me to another question. I'm just chock full of them today. Have you ever encountered anything interesting with big tobacco? Have they ever kind of rustled your feathers in any ways personally?
The commercials that they put out for their vaping is still tobacco campaign really bothered me. A lot of the information that they're pumping out there is false. You know, that whole campaign really got under my skin, but it was kind of two-sided, because it was like, I think it was like an $85 million campaign or something like that, and it completely flopped. So that's also a plus to it. But seeing those advertisements really bummed me out, because it's like these horrible advertisements that like aren't true at all, and then it would turn into, you know, I'd be vaping at a gas station or something like that, and somebody would, you know, repeat one of those advertisements to me, and I'm like, you don't have any idea what you're about. But
what are some of the things that you heard in those advertisements that are like completely untrue? I'm just curious.
Vaping is a gateway.
Oh my God.
Yeah, vaping is still tobacco. It's just as addictive. They're targeting children. All this stuff, while at the same time we have the alcohol industry pumping the same type of flavors that we have. So it's all just a campaign and smoke and mirrors, but they were
smoke and mirrors. No, definitely. I would agree with that for sure. I just think that they do, like, I looked at their website. It was like stillblowingsmoke.org or whatever. It's very impressive. It's very impressive. I don't believe half of the stuff that's on there, but it's incredibly impressive. It's very well organized, and I think that when it comes to advocacy, that you know, I think that that's more the direction that a lot of people want to go, as far as like one giant voice versus a bunch of different people. So since we have so many new people actually kind of popping up in this chat, if you could actually reiterate some of the brands and flavors that you have again, and what are the most popular out of those for the people who just came into the chat, so maybe who aren't as familiar with like the Hype collection or any of those.
I'll put them up. This is probably our most popular flavor. This is Blue Slushy from the Hype collection. We have from Vape Pink, I would say Cookie Butter is our most popular flavor. That is a That is a oatmeal cookie dipped in milk. I would say Spoon is probably the most popular flavor from Cloudmouth. That is a cereal flavor. It's honestly, I know there was a huge fad with cereals, but this is probably the best cereal I've ever tasted, and I'm not just saying that.
Really?
And then Illuminati is from the jump of propaganda. This is one of my favorite flavors. It's a blood orange pineapple strawberry. And then what we did is we took those flavors and we brought them all to you in the salts collection. And so that is for pod style devices. And yeah, those are the most popular flavors from the different lines that we carry.
Very cool. Very cool. So I would actually love to hear about so I heard about the hype. I heard about how propaganda got started. I've heard about the campfire. Where did Pink come in? Because that I didn't even know much about Pink until I tried cookie butter this year for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, who made this? And then I found out that it was propaganda.
We keep reiterating, but so there's so many trends and fads in the industry, and we were doing black bottles for a long time because that's kind of like our style. It's black, it's red, it's kind of like dark and edgy. And then everyone switched to black bottles, like almost overnight, it seemed. And so we kind of found ourselves in a predicament, like, what do we do to kind of stand out amongst all this black on the shelves, you know? And we figured Pink is probably the best and brightest option that we can do. And it actually stemmed from, I was driving home and I saw this giant pink truck, and it was a donut truck. And I was like, wow, like you can't miss that. Like you're going to see that wherever you are on the road. And that kind of like started the thought process towards vaping.
Okay. And then you brought it, and so when you have an idea as the owner of the company, who do you bring your ideas to? Your team? Do you guys have like a meeting collectively, or?
Yeah, usually I run into the office. I'm like, guys. You know? But usually it's my president of sales, my CFO, my operations manager, and my marketing guy.
Solid team.
So I can kind of get everyone's opinion because, you know, there's a lot of things that play a part. Like if we release 100 ml, those bottles are going to be more expensive than a 60 ml. So I need to hear from my CFO if, you know, Pink is just absolutely a color we cannot do. My president of sales is going to tell me that, you know, and so I like to just hear kind of like how it's going to impact everyone's job. And then that usually leads us to the answer on whether we're going to go through with it or not.
No, that definitely makes sense. And it makes, I love how even like, this isn't the first time that I've heard this, that something like that has nothing to do with vaping is a huge inspiration for like the personality and the branding of a company, like the Pink donut car. That's amazing. Like that came to fruition through a Pink vape bottle. Like, I think have you found that kind of inspiration for your colors or your branding kind of in a similar way to anything else other than, you know, like you said, kind of like the cheeky little like tip of the hat to the propaganda thing? Have you found inspiration with nothing vape related in the same way that you did with the Pink bottles?
Really the only other major one that I would say is the Peel to Wins, relating that back to the box tops as a kid. And then I would say, I forget where I was eating, but I was eating at a restaurant and they had, on the container that your food came in, it had like the exact flavor description of the food. And like, while you just like asked for that, it was still cool to be able to read out the exact flavor description. And so we started incorporating like images on our boxes to depict the flavors that were inside and stuff like that. So, but I would say the Peel to Wins and the Pink were probably the biggest ones.
Very cool. I love the Peel to Win thing, the box top. That's awesome. Like I said, you don't see a lot of other companies doing that. So we have a question in the chat for you from Chad Nealand. I would love to see some neon colored eJuices. What are the chances of that happening?
that I would love to see neon flavored e-liquid. They used to be around. I don't know if anybody remembers a flavor called Fluid. It was like bright, like almost looked like something out of like a superhero movie. It was like bright green. Um, Cutwood had like a bright pink unicorn milk, and it's a little bit of a sore subject because while it looks super cool, it's not the most promising thing to inhale. So changing the color on it is something that we're working on, but finding the right process so that it's not dangerous to inhale, like food coloring or something like that, is also a factor in that.
That's awesome. And oh, that's not a question. Whoops. I just thought that that was like a very long question. It's not. I thought I saw a question mark. So I want to get people hype about your hype, man. Like I want to get people hyped about the hype. I want to get people hyped about pink. So for viewers who are watching, because you know people are going to be seeing this even beyond this live chat and beyond this live show, why should people vape your products? You know, like what really sets you apart from everyone else other than you guys kind of coming in with your flavorous and kind of determining your own flavors for just the baseline of a bottle?
Um, a little bit of love goes into every bottle. And like I'm kidding, but I actually mean that. Like our company is a family. A lot of the people that have been with us have been with us for 4 years. They've grown into different positions and they've grown into serious roles into the company. And so when you buy a bottle of propaganda, we're not just trying to like make money off of you. We're trying to give you a product that you're going to enjoy because we enjoy these products, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. And it's like you want to make sure that it's something that you're, I mean, as the owner specifically and with your experience in the vape realm, it makes sense that you're trying to make that you have this need, but of course you're also appealing to a general audience. And I feel like with our industry, it is a little bit split, like you said, from kind of the hobbyists versus the people who are just trying to adopt it right now. So a little bit of love in every bottle, though. Love that. Love that. Love the peel me thing. Love the name. Love the love in every bottle. Loving it, Nick. I'm going to take this. I see a couple of people popping in again, so I'm going to take this opportunity. You guys, we're actually going to do the giveaway a little bit earlier, so around 7:25, I'm going to be announcing the giveaway winner. So if you guys are interested in joining, I have linked that giveaway below this video, and Nick from Propaganda, who has been so amazing in answering all of our questions, has also provided us with major swag for that giveaway. So the giveaway winner is going to win all the Nick salts that Nick actually showed a few minutes ago up above me on the screen, as well as a hat and a t-shirt from Propaganda. And I know you guys love them, and I know you love their flavors, and I know you love their branding. So be sure to join that giveaway because we will be announcing that winner at 7:25. So actually 8 minutes. 7 minutes from now. So I would also like to hear some last thoughts, Nick, about what you'd like people to know about Propaganda other than what you've told us, what about your company, about your personal journey, basically about any of the people that work underneath you. I mean, what, other than love in every bottle, what else is it that you want everyone to know about Propaganda?
That you guys mean more to us than you may think. So anytime you guys email us or anything like that, we love to hear from you. This brand was built off of a necessity for us. So, like a lot of our employees, they're under 30. They're not corporate people. They're not coming from a different industry trying to capitalize on the vape industry. They're all people that are just like you. They're hobbyists. They love vaping. They want vaping to take over the world. And so they're enthusiastic about the products that we carry. Even down to the people that bottle your product, the love for the company that I've seen with Propaganda is something that I've never seen anywhere else. People seem to be genuinely happy to work for us and with us and grow towards like the common goal.
Awesome. And I would actually love to ask, we spoke a little bit earlier about it. So, actually someone's comment in the chat made me think of this as well. What, I mean, do you find that it's difficult with these two kind of emerging markets that we have in this industry where you've got the hobbyists and the cloud blowers, and maybe people are getting, like there's a negative air about that kind of stigma or whatever. And then you've got the people who are genuinely just trying to get off analogs and get into vaping.
Right.
Do you guys face any difficulties when you're trying to market? I mean, are you just now sort of gearing most of your marketing away from the hobbyists and to the people who are adopting now? Or are you still trying to keep those hobbyists on the hook as well with other things?
We're trying to please everybody. So we have certain products like the Hype Collection, that's a max VG for the hobbyist. And then we have the Salt Collection for the people that are just trying to quit. So I don't think we're trying to take away from anybody. I think we're just trying to add. We're just trying to add products to get as many people off of analogs as possible. That's why we started it. So yeah, I would say we're just trying to cover all of our bases.
Definitely makes sense. So now, since we got a few minutes to kill before I pull this giveaway, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions, okay? Tank or dripper?
Tank.
Why?
I don't like to carry a bottle of juice everywhere I go.
Okay, makes sense. And you're not like a fan of like the chubby gorillas or like the plastic things?
Oh, I love the chubby gorillas.
Okay.
It's super easy to fill my tanks with. I think when everyone transitioned to glass, I think that was like the weirdest thing that ever happened personally. Like, I think it looks classier, but from like a functionality standpoint, it makes no sense. But I enjoy the tank because I'm an on-the-go person.
Yeah.
I definitely think drippers have better flavor though.
That's for sure. I would 100% agree with that. I was going to ask some vape-related questions, but we have some fun questions in the chat that I'm just going to ask you. Which Olympic event do you think you would take the gold in?
Which Olympic event? Oh, man. I don't think I would take the gold in any, but, God, I guess like swimming maybe? I guess I'd have to try to take on swimming. I know that's like not super exciting, but I've swam my whole life, so I would probably say swimming.
Oh, very cool. Well, yeah, you're Southern California, and isn't it like in your like job description to be good at swimming? Yeah, you guys got the beaches and all the pools. And, Hamish would like to give props to you for someone so young. No wonder your business is growing into success. # love your work. So lots of people out here giving kudos, definitely. Is juice making an Olympic event yet? No. But when it is, I'm sure that Nick would be one of the contenders for sure for the gold medal. All right, so we got the dripper versus tank. All right, now I want to hear, what are your thoughts? We're talking about this return to simplicity, right? What are your thoughts about squonks coming back into style?
Squonks have always been cool to me. If they can perfect the function of them, I think that's a great hybrid between simple and hobbyist. It allows you to carry one small device with you. I like them personally. I've just personally never been able to get one to work correctly. So.
Yeah, we have a guy here in the office that just kind of brought his back, and he's always squeezing it and stuff when we're in our meetings. And I'm like, when did this come back? And he's like, I don't know. I wanted to get back to something simpler. So, yeah. Oh, here we go. From your non-Nick Salt e-liquid line, what is your favorite?
I would say either Blue Slushy or Illuminati. I mean, they're all great. Like, they really are. But when I wake up in the morning, I want Blue Slushy or Illuminati, personally.
Why mess with the classics, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and select the giveaway winner right now. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. So if you guys haven't entered, you have like 20 seconds to do so, and then I'm going to go ahead and announce the winner. So if you guys are joining and participating in this giveaway, a reminder, we have one winner, and that winner is going to receive all of the Nick salts in Propaganda's collection, as well as a t-shirt and hat. So lots of swag, lots of awesome stuff here, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that winner right now.
Good luck.
Good luck, you guys. And let me save this. All right, drum roll, please. Our winner is... Oh, awesome. Okay, hold on. Let me export the winners and announce them. And I will show you guys on the screen. Congratulations to Isaiah S., a.k.a. One Day Zeme. Congratulations, you are our winner. Thank you so much for participating. We had so many entries on this. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for participating, Isaiah. We will be reaching out to you. Actually, if you could email us at eJuicescom@gmail.com, then we will go ahead and get your information so that we can get those Nick salts and that hat and that shirt over to you. So congratulations. Thank you to everyone who participated. If you guys didn't win this time, no worries. We have a giveaway every week on this show. Come back and, you'll have an opportunity to win again. So congratulations, One Day Zeme. And again, since we've finished pretty much reiterating and talking about the line and talking about your personal journey, I just want to say thank you again, Nick, for being such an amazing guest, for coming on our show, for answering everyone's questions. It was an awesome segment, I thought, and I am a huge fan myself of your flavors, so I thought it was really cool that we were able to do this. Is there anything else, any closing statements you'd like for our audience, for anyone who's watching in the future regarding yourself, propaganda, vaping in general?
No, thank you guys for having me. If I were to say one last thing, I would just say I'm always happy to do things like this. Hearing from you guys is the thing that makes me the happiest. So, for the people that were talking about commenting and creating their own line and stuff like that, this is the spot to be. Always immerse yourself in the industry. So thank you guys for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
And if you guys in the future, for anyone who's watching this, if you have any questions regarding this process and you want to comment underneath the video, or if you were watching this show and you didn't get to ask a question and you still had one, go ahead and comment underneath this video. We'll make sure that Nick gets that question and can answer it for you guys. And I also just want to say at the end that we do this show every single week, you guys. So we'll be on same time next week, 6 p.m., eJuices.com live. And I have also attached something below this video if you're interested in becoming a brand ambassador. We recently rolled out that program as well. So if you guys are interested in learning more about that or applying to that, I've also linked that below the video. So thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to anyone who's watching this video after the fact. And thank you once again, Nick. And good night, everyone. We will be back next week at 6 p.m.
Thank you.